Hey there YouTube, it's Jamie the Kid 00 and I'm back with another deck report. Today I'm going to be profiling a deck which has recently just burst onto the meta scene with the inclusion of W Nebula Meteorite, the Worm deck. Now that Extreme Victory is out, this deck has really come into its own. I hazard to say it's even going to become part of the meta. It's ridiculously overpowered with that card, and I won't have enough time to explain why in this video. But here comes a deck profile, and I hope you like it. Alright, let's go for it. First up, one Worm Queen and one Worm King. They're your head beaters of the deck. I'm considering swapping Worm Queen for another Worm King. I just prefer the variation at the moment, so I can use Future Fusion. But that's up for debate. Then next up, we have a compulsory card for this deck. 3 Worm Zex. It's like an Armageddon Knight for worms. You get to send a worm to the graveyard when he's brought out. And also, if you have one of these on the field, he can't be destroyed by a battle. So that brings us into our next card. I run 3 Worm Yagan. He's the kind of card you would be sending to the graveyard with Worm Zex, because Yagan, when he's in the graveyard and Zex is your only worm on the field, you get to special summon Yagan into face down defense position. The advantage of this is Yagan is a monster which, when flip face up, you get to bounce one of your opponent's cards back to their hand. It's a brilliant advantage. Next up, just because you really want to get those Zexes to your hand, you run 3 Worm Carteros. He's got the flip effect, which is when he's flipped, you can add 1 level 4 or lower worm type monster from your deck to your hand. It's really versatile, but you're going to be searching your Zexes and your Yagans quite a lot. Next up, I run 1 Worm Lynx. This card can be really deadly if you set it up right. Literally, you can, when it's flipped face up, during every end phase, you get to draw 1 card. So your end phase, draw, their end phase, draw, your end phase. If you can get this out and get it defended with something like, say, Safe Zone, this thing can net you so many draws over and over and over. And it's a really good card. It's really good in this deck if you can get the defense down. And then my last one is Worm Apocalypse. To give me more variants for Future Fusion, but also because with W Nebula Meteorite, this card can be really quite broken at destroying multiple back rows all in one turn. Okay, that's it for the worms, but we're not done for monsters yet. Next up, we have 2 Evil Dragon Anantas. Well, Anantas. This card has a win condition in itself, really. To bring it out, you remove from play as all the worms in all the reptiles in your graveyard, sorry, and it gains 600 attack for each. To be honest, if you bring this card out after Future Fusion's been played, it's almost unstoppable, the amount of attack points it's going to come out with. And that, as if that attack, the attack points wasn't enough. At the end of every one of your turns, you get to destroy a card while he's on the field. He's a really nasty card. Definitely run 2. Next up, I run 1 Thunder King Ryo, mainly because I've only got 1, but I'm liking 1 at the moment. It's just handy to pull into, but it's not essential for the deck. Because you're running a majority light deck, run Honest. I've actually seen a few decks not running Honest, and that confuses me, especially if they're not running Viper's Rebirth. But hey, each to their own. But I think this is an invaluable card in Worms. Definitely helps you get over things. Then I run 1 Effect Veiler for those samurai matchups, things like that. I main 1 and I side deck another one. And then finally I run 1 Gauze of Emissary of Darkness, because I do end up with an empty field quite a lot. He's definitely valuable to have. Okay, that does it for the monsters. Onto the spell traps. I run 2 Heatwave. The second one is with my friend Levi at the moment. I'll be getting it off him soon. This is brilliant because this deck mostly revolves around setting cards. So you're going to be pretty much unaffected by this card, whereas most meta decks really are going to suffer when it's played. Next up, I run 1 Future Fusion for Worm 0. This helps you thin the deck out. It's not a win condition. Well, Worm 0 when it's out is a win condition, but it's not an essential. It's really useful for getting fuel for your Anantas. So even if it does get destroyed, it's really not the end of the world for you. Next up, I run 1 Mystical Space Typhoon because I can abuse my Worm Apocalypse. I side deck the second one, of course, just in case I come up against Gravekeeper matchups. I run 1 Book of Moon. 1 Dark Hole, 1 Giant Trinade, and finally 1 Monster Reborn. It's mostly staples for spells. There aren't that many spells which really support worms in particular. Alright, now onto the traps. This is where this deck really gets nasty. 3W Nebula Meteorite. Now that this card came out in Extreme Victory, the worm deck has just become insane. Literally, I'm going to read the effect out for the benefit of the viewers. Its effect goes as, change all face-down monsters on the field into face-up defense position. During the end phase of this turn, change all face-up light reptile monsters you control into face-down defense position, and then draw 1 card for each. After that, you can special summon 1 level 7 or higher light reptile monster from your deck. That being your worms, your worm kings or your worm queens. This card works ridiculously well with almost any worm that you play down. Literally, you play it face down, W Nebula Meteorite, flip it face up, get its effect, whatever. It's also especially ridiculous with links, because of course you get to choose the order in which your cards activate in your phases. So if you Nebula Meteorite a links face up, and then in your end phase it goes to flip face down, you can choose to activate links' effect first. So you get to draw off links and then draw off of W Nebula Meteorite, netting you a double draw. It's a really useful trick there. Next up, equally as venomous in this deck, 3 offerings to the Snake Deity. It's just ridiculous. It's almost like Icarus, except it's not touched by the ban list. And also, with Icarus, you have to make a tribute before your opponent activates a card that counters it. Whereas with this, you designate the card you want to destroy, and if your opponent activates a counter card against it, you don't lose your selected monster. So in a way, it's a lot better. Next up, we have 2 Solemn Warnings. This deck has a lot of flimsy monsters, so you really want to have monster control at all times. Even though the priority rule is going, I'm still going to keep these in the deck, simply because 2 Bottomlesses just isn't enough. Which brings us to the next card, ironically enough, 2 Bottomless Trap Holes. Not much that can be said about that, just needs to keep strong monsters off the field. The next rule, 1-ofs, I think. I run 1 Dark Bribe. Really useful counter card for those spell traps. I run 1 Royal Oppression, again, because I don't really special summon all that much in this deck. I run 1 Mirror Force. 1 Solemn Judgment, again, for the counters, and also monster negation. And my final card is a Safe Zone from Extreme Victory, which is just a really good card used in conjunction with a lot of worms. Especially if you've got, say, a Dark Bribe face down as well, because the only way you're going to destroy this is with cards that destroy spell traps. So it's a really nasty card, and when it's played, the monster it's affecting can't be destroyed by any means. You've got to destroy the Safe Zone. It's a really nasty card in general. And then finally, onto the extra deck. Okay, done. Worm Zero. It's a pretty nasty card. For 2 or more reptile worm monsters. For each fusion material monster with a different name used to fusion summon this card, it gains 500 attack. And also gains 1 of these effects. If you use 2 or more once per turn, you can select 1 reptile monster in your graveyard and special summon it face down defense position. 4 or more, you can remove from play 1 reptile monster from your graveyard to send 1 monster on the field to the graveyard. You can do that as many times as you like per turn. It's a really nasty effect. And finally, if you send 6 or more, you get to draw 1 card per turn, which is a really nasty effect as well. There's nothing bad about Worm Zero. It's literally just he's difficult to get out. But when you got him out, you will. I mean, the duel is going to be tipped in your favor. Definitely going to be tipped in your favor. But yeah, guys, that has been the Worm deck. It's really come alive since this card has come out. It really has. Seriously, watch out for this deck at tournaments. I'm definitely going to be playing this MCM Expo in London, if the Yu-Gi-Oh tournament there is on. I'll also be attending Aylesbury with this, so I'll hopefully be putting some statistics up on the net, say how this deck did, tell you how it ranked. But yeah, guys, this is it's a nasty new deck. Extreme Victory's really topped it up. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one. As usual, like, comment, and subscribe. Talk to you in the comments box. Have a good one.